they would last for as much as an hour, and we'd have to go sometimes, several times a week.
Thank you, Nathan.
Oh,
Bad for us.
I was muted.
And
Oh, really? That's funny. Somebody's TV was coming through, I think.
So the YouTube live stream is now up. Just as a note, there is a chat on the live stream page as well. So when we get to the discussion and QA, we can just keep an eye on the Zoom chat and the YouTube chat to see if people have questions. But with that, take it away, David.
Thanks very much to all of you who are attending the talk, either here with us on Zoom or on YouTube. We are collectively the Media and Entertainment Special Interest Group at Hyperledger. I will turn off my email. And for those of you who haven't met us before, what we do is regularly bring together people from academic and creative and industry venues in order that we can work together on some shared solutions to applications of blockchain technology in, as you might guess, both media and entertainment spheres. So what we are very lucky to have tonight, excuse me, is two very special guests. We have Roshan Joseph and Brendan Cooper, who will speak to us about one of the hottest topics in NFT news, certainly of the last couple of weeks, once we'd all forgotten about Beeple's $79 million aggregated fine artwork. A lot of attention has turned almost simultaneously to blockchain and NFT technology with regard to collectibles in the sports world. So with that, I'll hand it over to Brendan and Roshan.
All right, thank you very much, David. We're excited to be participating in this SIG, and yeah, this time is really, really exciting for us. The mainstreaming of the NFT technologies, and its arrival, its rapid arrival into the public consciousness, and you know, showing up on major talk radio and news shows all over the world. Just really exciting. For Panini, well, actually, first let's we'll start off with some introductions. I'm Brendan Cooper. I lead digital transformation. I'm the director of digital systems and blockchain for Panini America. I'm operating with Panini Group, and we'll talk a little bit about the company, but I'll let Roshan introduce himself.
Right. Well, my name is Roshan, and I'm with Xcube Labs, and I head up the digital practice for customer experience at Xcube Labs, and we've been working very closely with Brendan and his team at Panini on curating the blockchain marketplace at Panini. So yeah, really excited to be here and looking forward to this conversation.
Okay, so let's jump in. I'll start off talking about Panini a little bit. We're going to take about 30 minutes. We're going to charge through this slides. It's going to start out, we're going to talk a little bit about what we were trying to achieve with our Hyperledger Sawtooth instance, and then we're going to pivot and actually show you what's deployed and in production. Just a quick show and tell so you can see all the cool stuff that we're doing. And then we'll dive in and talk about the technical implementation, the architecture, how it's configured, and why we made the choices that we did. So Panini is the world leader in collectibles. We're a multi-billion global organization. We're a 60-year-old company. We're based out of Modena, Italy. They entered the North American market in 2009. We are the leader in trading cards and sticker albums, and every 4 years, the FIFA World Cup is a global cultural phenomena. And everyone in Europe and South America is well familiar with it, but it's huge. And of course, the trading card category has exploded in the last few years, and we're the officially licensed collectibles in that category with NFL, FIFA, MLB, PA, and lots of other licenses. We're charged with taking care of and being stewards of a 120-year-old category, and protecting a 60-year-old brand and some of the most globally recognized brands in the world. And so we feel like we've been really conservative in how we've approached our implementation of NFTs. Our number one focus has been on collectability, and we'll talk about that a little bit more, but I'll hand it off to Rosh and let him talk a little bit about Xcube Labs.
Sure, thank you, Coop. So, I mean, we are, a company based out of Dallas, and what we do is help our clients curate digital solutions for problems that they have. So we've started working with Panini on the blockchain platform, like Coop was mentioning. It's been about a year and a half, and I think some of the technology choices that we made on the blockchain side is really paying off now in terms of Panini has always been a market leader on the physical trading card side, and with the choices that have made on the technology side, I think we've been able to help Panini with transforming that side also on the digital side, mainly with the NFTs and the way it's been exploding now. So I think Panini is in the position now, poised to just go upwards from here. And we've been happy to be a part of that journey. And and like Coop said, some of the following slides, we're going to be talking about the architecture, the way we're structured in terms of the blockchain itself. And so that's a quick introduction about me and the company. I'll let Coop take you all through a little bit of the business side and the legal side, and then we'll jump in on the technical side a little later.
All right. Okay, so when we started evaluating what was possible with blockchain technology, we knew that scarcity was key. And in the collectible industry, scarcity is the game. Scarcity is what we're trying to achieve. We don't have to create real-time complex game experiences. We need to deliver scarcity. And so creating the most collectible, officially licensed NFT that's possible, it was our objective. And we strongly believe that the thing you experience is the thing you collect. And owning only a token isn't really a collectible. And because we deployed the Hyperledger Sawtooth and we're running a private network, we can make strong representations, legal representations about what you get and about the customer experience. Whereas lots of other competitors in this space aren't able to do that because they're using public infrastructure as their primary blockchain, and they're also they can't make the same legal representations about claims of the asset. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit. But our technical implementation, we're taking a tokenized hashed asset, and we're actually able to grant rights in the actual digital asset, in the property itself. And that's unusual in the world of NFTs, where most of the terms of service require you to indemnify the technology provider or the experience provider. And it also forces them to create an NFT where you only have ownership of a token. And a token in itself is pretty weak. I've got a wallet from with lots of digital collectibles that have expired and gone away, or they lost the license and they're gone. So we're doing it a different way, and we can make really strong claims. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, so right now our Panini blockchain products, we're basically have three variations. We're selling a digital NFT collectible, and that's a digital only product. We have a digital NFT collectible with a physical trading card as a gift. And then finally, we have a physical bonus card, which is a physical card that can be redeemed with a scratch off on the back. And so you can actually redeem it for the digital NFT collectible. It looks kind of like this. This is an example of one. The back would include a scratch off QR code and barcode that can be redeemed at our site. Let's go to the next slide. So we're representing a lot of the brands that I talked about earlier. And I think this is our jump off point. It's really exciting to represent these brands. They have, we're capturing some of the most transcendent moments in sports with our instant products, where these are products that come out in the day after a major sporting event. We have some of the leading brands, our collectible brands. These are Panini brands. We use to carry these licenses and their subjects, the athletes, we're doing several thousand individual contracts a year with athletes and entertainers all over the world to create our products. Let's go to the next slide, Roshan. Okay, so I'm about to show you the Panini blockchain platform. We're going to go to the site and we'll review it. There's a few things you should know. We have the blockchain store, and we have a Dutch auction, a flash auction, and just a direct buy or a straight buy. And we have an auction marketplace. And then we have this unique code that can be redeemed that we're talking about on the physical cards, which we're calling bonus cards. So I think from there we can jump in. The point is there's lots of different ways to actually purchase these collectibles, and there's different ways to actually, for users, once they've purchased them, to auction them to each other. And it's a pretty exciting game to play where scarcity is the game. So here we're at the landing page of the Panini America site. And if we, you can see, we can click through and we can look at what's available by license. Right here, we have featured blockchain cards. If you go down, Roshan, yeah. So here we have a Maradona card, and these are set up on a Dutch auction. You see it's trending down over time. Normally these are set up at 5 days at a time. I'm sorry, for a 5-day span. And then the value will decrement over time until someone claims the card and actually purchases it. Now, this is a Panini blockchain card with the gift. So we have a contractually guaranteed NFT, which is here. And we have a physical card that'll actually accompany this, and we'll ship it to you wherever you are in the world, and we'll ship that card to you. We're using a Dutch auction. We have flash auctions, which are time and create lots of excitement, energy around the competition of an auction that's going up. And then we have the declining auctions, or the Dutch auction. So you can see those were currently priced at about $16,000. We've had products that have individual cards that have been selling for $65,000. And that's really exciting price point for some of these are going to be the earliest officially licensed NFTs ever issued. And we're excited about that. And of course, they have a life right now on the closed Panini platform. And, you know, there's every expectation that they can take on and enter a broader world as the technology matures. So really, really excited about the experience that we're creating. You can see here, we're looking at the public auction facility. And this is where users have cards in their collection and they can put them up for auction and auction them themselves. And they can set it up much like other public auction sites where they have a buy now price, or and then they'll accept different bids, and they'll evaluate those and reject them as they see fit. You can see that there's a timer on everything. Creating scarcity regimes in the context of collectibles is really important. And these scarcity regimes apply to the products themselves, but also the point of sale, where we see here auctions really benefit from focusing on the time dimension and the scarcity of time in which to acquire these assets. And so it's really, really exciting, high energy. You've got a lot of participation. And at this point, the biggest challenge we have is that the price point on our products is really high. There's a lot of demand. And it, as far as being for a mass market, we need lower price points. And we're really excited about our next steps. And I can't talk about what that looks like, but there's a lot of new stuff coming in the future. And we think we've got some of the best NFTs in the world right here. Let's see. So this is a brief look at what we've got. The cards that are acquired go into your Panini wallet. What you're looking at is the Panini America e-commerce platform. Everything that you've seen has a mobile companion, and we've got a mobile app that is gives you the same experience and access to the full site. And we're really excited because Panini has a unified customer experience, both for its physical trading cards, its NFTs, and as well as all of the other products that we sell, like sticker and albums. And of course, they're organized, and we got memorabilia, and they're also organized across different years and brands, because we have some of the leading collectible brands in the world. Let's see, Roshan, could you drill down one more time on one of these cards, and let's have a look at it, look at the detail. So you can see here we have a description, and everything that you see that's part of the detail, the name, the SKU, the photo, the description, all of this is being hashed and put on the blockchain. And we're really excited about that, because what it means is the consumer has an immutable record, and they've got ownership of that record that gives them a claim on the assets themselves. So both the images and the metadata that represents it. And so that makes a really, really strong collectible. In the future, there's a way, and the technology is emerging to let us create a fully encapsulated digital collectible, an NFT that can actually go into your wallet, your cold storage, or can be placed elsewhere in the public infrastructure. And so that technology is developing very rapidly. As I mentioned earlier, Sebastian Post at Lithium.app and with the ISCC and the OCCP is really doing a lot of work that most of the industry doesn't know about yet, but I assure you is going to be extremely critical to the future of NFTs in general and NFT collectibles very especially. So let's, I think from there, I think we're back to the presentation. Let's see, let's mark time here. Roshan, I think I took about 4 minutes of your time, and but I think that's okay. I think we're good. We're shooting for about 35 minutes here on the presentation. Hopefully we can open up for questions. And I guess if you have questions, jump in, or we can take them at the end of the presentation.
Right. So yeah, real quick, just jumping off from where Coop left off, just showing all an example of what's there on the website. So some of the key elements that go onto the blockchain itself, the key part being the product, the art or the card that's created, which are beautiful cards that go onto the chain. So like Coop mentioned, we hash those. The metadata on the card is stored on the chain. The other information, of course, is of the customer. The private keys, the public keys, those are stored on. And like you all saw, we have a public auction marketplace. So anytime there's a transfer of ownership that takes place from Panini to a user when they buy the card first time, or once the transfer happens in the public auction, there's always a change of ownership that's also recorded on the chain. So some of the key information there that goes onto the chain. And in terms of the technology itself that we're using, when Coop and the Panini team approached us about 1.5 years ago to build this private blockchain network, some of the key requirements they had was, one was to have a distributed ledger architecture, which is an enterprise-grade blockchain system, and also to have a private blockchain system, which probably at a later point in time can be bridged or have a gateway to some of the public networks out there. So a user that currently has a card on maybe the Panini network may have an option at a later point to choose to move their card from the Panini network over to any of the public networks that Panini chooses as well. So that's something that we had to keep in mind while making a technology choice. And of course, the ability to have a ledger, which is publicly visible at a time that Panini decides to make that visible as well. So those were some of the key constraints or key challenges that we had in terms of picking the network. And during our proof of concepts that we were working with, the Sawtooth Hyperledger was a clear winner in that sense. So that's the reason why we chose the Sawtooth network and then built our framework and our backend, based on this technology. And I just want to quickly take you all through two journeys. One is that of the back office or the admin who helps mint these cards. As Coop mentioned, there's a rarity aspect that goes into it. And then there's also the front end user, which is the customer himself when he buys these products and then decides to transfer it out. So just the admin journey when once the team at Panini has decided the rarity of what goes into a collection, what kind of cards go into the collection, that's when the minting of the card actually starts on our back office tool, where we build an intermediary service that then talks to the Hyperledger Sawtooth framework. This is where we build all our business rules, where some of the card validations of the card meta property that goes as a part of the product itself need to be available. And this is where any duplication of data is checked and deleted or eliminated. And then from there, these are written onto the blockchain, and then in turn your transactions then completed as an admin. That's when the birth of the card takes place, or that's the genesis point. And from there, the journey shifts hands. That's when you have either the Dutch auction, like Coop showed us a little while ago, takes in, or we have a flash auction or a buy now concept where users can then decide to buy these products. And once they buy it at a decent price point, they can then decide to put it on a public auction and then trade it out, or decide to keep it in their wallets and then preserve it for forever, right? So that's kind of like the journey that the user has from an architectural standpoint, and how we're leveraging the Sawtooth network to accomplish this part. And we have several nodes that are running on the AWS cloud. So once these nodes come together, they sync in, and every time there's a request that passes through, either for a user making a purchase or maybe the admin making a new card, those are all passed through these services and they come together. And that's when the entire network kind of comes together. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's the flow on the architecture side that I had to showcase to you all. Yeah, back to you, Coop.
Okay. Yeah, I think Roshan, I think we can go to the next slides. I mean, I think we're ready to go.
So I mainly had a few more things on the high-level architecture itself on the slides. So
okay,
this is just getting into more detail in case we need to, but I guess our previous slide in terms of that journey kind of narrates the whole story about how that journey happened. So yeah, I think we can open it up to any questions or anything else that you have to do.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll rest there for a minute and we're excited to hear from everyone. I'm reading some of the chats right now. Yeah.
Pretty awesome. It's such early days, right? I mean, it's exciting to see where this is all going to go.
It is really early days. And I have to tell you, when we first stood up our Hyperledger Sawtooth instance, our first node, we were really excited. There was, and again, this would have been the summer of 2019, fall of 2019, and our teams, the documentation's gotten stronger. Things are, but I was really pleased at how fast we were able to stand it up, and that really was very reassuring to me, because we're operating at the frontier. I've got to go to my company leadership. I've got to communicate and set expectations to the enterprise, and they're trusting me to make the right call. And I'm working with Roshan and his team to get there. And as a veteran in the custom development, going through that process, you're looking for different signs that maybe you overrepresented what you could actually pull off. And when you're operating at the frontier, there's always those surprise moments. And I can tell you that this one we felt really confident going into. And of course, one of the exciting things and great things about Panini is that the company takes a really long view of the market. And when they decided to enter this, they made a really strong commitment to the space. It wasn't the kind of thing where, okay, Brendan, you have to go discover the market and find it, and it needs to work in 2020. And of course, it did. It worked immediately. It was well received. When we launched, we really just focused on our existing collector base. We didn't reach out to the larger community. We felt like that was kind of like boiling the ocean. We're happy that everyone else has been able to do that for us. I mean, honestly, it's fantastic for us because that can be really difficult, and you don't know how long that's going to take. And now the NFTs are in the common vernacular, we can. We're really excited about that. It really is makes everything from here on out easier. But living with this technology and using it day in and day out has proven to be better and easier and faster than I certainly expected. I stepped into this space with several years of watching it, and you know, it's difficult. It's a difficult technology. It's punishing when you're wrong, and I mean, it requires you to. It's just different. I mean, it's a lot different than you're not just failing fast and going forward with this technology. You know, that doesn't fly with this kind of technology. And
We'll
so
talk about that as a rights holder, right? Like in this, it's so as a rights holder, and this is a new palette, this is new real estate, this is a new technology. It's just like getting the camera for the first time or getting the film, you know, whatever, a new technology. Like how is Panini approaching that? I mean, are you approaching it strategically, or is it just, you know, we're going to put our oar in the water because everybody knows this is a big deal and this is a no-brainer?
Yeah, I like to think that, I mean, again, we deployed, this was in production in January 6th of 2020. And so I feel like that's ahead of a lot of people.
Okay,
we're certainly ahead of all the other enterprises. Okay. So we've been doing this and in production for, you know, more than 14 months right now. And so having said that, you know, representing Panini as a 60-year-old brand in this really long established category, and the big license, some of the largest licensors, you know, there was some risk, and there is technology risk with this, but fundamentally we have cut our teeth on digital collectibles prior to this with mobile free-to-play apps. We have officially licensed mobile free-to-play apps on the Google and Apple stores. We've also deployed them for the FIFA World Cup on Tencent's sports and news network inside in China. And so these mobile free-to-play games let you collect digital trading cards that are in no way associated with blockchain technology or
Right.
NFTs. And so we have the Panini Blitz, which is officially NFL product. And then we have an officially licensed NBA product called Panini Dunk. And then we have the FIFA Trader, which is for the FIFA World Cup in 2018. And we've pushed maybe 7 million users through these. And so we're well familiar with, and we're surprised, very pleasantly surprised, that people wanted to collect, even though they couldn't own the thing. When you enter into Google or Apple's terms of service on their mobile apps, I mean, the sweep and the scope of those terms of service basically deny a user any recourse for any reason. We could take those things down tomorrow and users have no recourse. But what we learned is that users, they want the content. You know, the content is key. And the token's not key. And when we took this platform, we're talking about NFTs, but when we took it into production 14, 15 months ago, we went to our existing collectors, and you know what? We didn't get a lot of questions about the technology. Like, they trusted the brand. They know that Panini's a world leader in collectibles. And if we say this thing's a collectible, they trusted us to deliver them a collectible. And now that the concept of the NFT is mainstreamed, and there's a lot of people, new people entering this space, and they're asking really hard, pointy questions about what they're getting and why it's collectible. And we're in exactly the right position. We're right where we want to be. We have a very collectible product because it was engineered from the ground up to be as collectible as the technology would let us be. And what's exciting is the way the space and the technology is evolving. We're going to be able to evolve with it. And we've made a really exciting and early investment, certainly against all of the larger, you know, global licensees in this space.
If I could just jump in there, we've got quite a few questions building up on the chat.
Okay. Yep.
I don't know if you guys can see them. Ted's is the first one in the middle.
Here we go. Okay, yes, thank you. Let's see.
So if you,
What happens specifically to the asset when the auction ends if it's not purchased?
Yeah, so we take them back into inventory. They sit on with the you know, in their Genesis block, and sometimes we'll relist them. And this has actually happened before, but that was early. At this point, the market's so hot. Everything that we put up is selling, and so we can relist it. Now, one of the things I didn't cover is part of being a collectible company is you make very public claims, and I've talked about the legal terms of service and our technical implementation. But as part of that, you also make a public claim of how many of something you're making. And that's in our DNA. We don't make a collectible product where we don't tell you, and we call them checklists, but everything we make, every product is going to contain multiple cards. There's going to have different levels of scarcity by cards and card type and players. And we explain that. We make public representations about what those are, so that, and we never change that. And
isn't there an FTC requirement around that too, like a couponing requirement? Or
okay, so you're talking about the no purchase necessary. Okay, the NPN.
Or couponing in general, like the face value and some of the legal requirements in terms.
Yeah, so the legal requirements don't actually require us to. Well, they require us to specify the odds of getting something. Okay, and so we either have to specify the odds per pack, or we have to specify the product and the content that's in it. And so we represent that using a checklist that people can download and can verify. So we're making those claims. And again, this is something that a lot of the startups and the early participants in the NFT collectible space aren't doing. And when you're in a collectible category, there is this really strong pressure to create supply to match demand. And in the collectible space, supply has to always be below demand. And so you've heard the meme going around, the money printer go brr. Okay, so because in currencies and cryptocurrencies, the attraction of the cryptocurrency is you can't just run the presses. It's the same thing in the collectible business. We can't just run, if there's 3 times as much demand, we don't just run the printers 3 or 4 times longer and grab all the money. Okay, so our products are constructed with a brand identity and with a long tradition and a history of how we construct scarcity, how those cards are numbered, how they're serial numbered, and that there's fixed quantities of them. And collectively, those operate just like a bonding curve would inside cryptocurrencies that are being issued today. That bonding curve, or in our case, these numbering schemes or scarcity regimes, they operate to govern supply and how much supply can be created. So we can't just run the presses forever and make more, and we can't just make the NFT. We can't just keep putting clicking the NFT button forever and make millions of them. We have very defined parameters and claims that we make publicly, so that everyone could be assured of what they're getting and the value that they're getting.
so on that score, there's a couple of questions maybe for Roshan from Heidi. Can a fan use cryptocurrency to purchase the NFT? And then can a fan sell their NFTs on a non-Panini secondary market, which serves Ethereum-based NFTs? And if so, what oracle are you using?
Yeah, that's a good question, Eddie. So at this moment, no, a fan cannot buy crypto collectible using a cryptocurrency. It's just on using it's traded on USD, and then you can just use your credit card or your a PayPal account to go ahead and make a purchase. But this is something that's definitely in the works in terms of being able to use a cryptocurrency to make a purchase on the Panini marketplace itself. So that's something that's definitely in the works, where we are working towards getting that on there soon.
Yeah, and for the secondary market, right now it's only on the Panini market for secondary sales, and creating those gateways and on-ramps is a obvious step, and is something that we're looking at very carefully and excited about, that future possibility. I can't talk about anything that's on the roadmap though. So I'm sorry, Heidi, did you have another question?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I actually think that the larger opportunity is for those non-crypto holders. Because the barrier to entry, I'm in the space, and it's difficult. It's confusing. And the majority of people, they're not going to enter that space if there's that stickiness there. So thank you for your answer.
Sure. One of the things that we looked at and that helped in our decision making early on is, as a mass market company, we have millions of customers all over the world. And the one thing that we know for sure, and anyone operating in the mass market does, is that if a user, consumer can lose their password, they will. And trying to explain that these are bearer instruments, and if you lose your keys, they're gone forever, and you've got $100,000 or $1 million portfolio, which by the way is not unusual for some of our larger customers, explaining to them that if they lost their keys, it's gone forever. Like, that's real hard marketing message. My VP of marketing, Jason Howard, is like, yeah, that's not a story I can tell. I'm not telling that story in 2019 when we're giving shape to this. And of course, at this time, the wallets are maturing. There's social recovery, there's Shaffer, recovery models, multi-sig. There's lots of things that are going to emerge that are going to let consumers recover their keys and be in a position, and we're going to put them in a position where if they want their own custody, they can have it. And Panini's out, and it's your keys, and if you lose them, they're gone. Or you can share custody with us, and if you get in trouble, we're going to help you out.
It's
and,
a common exchange model, right? I mean, that's what
Yeah.
or used to be and more common, but yeah, the custodianship.
That's right.
You're already a custodian of their content, right? Or the content you've given them license to own.
That's right. And the future iteration would give them custody, right? And that's definitely the target.
Well, and that's an interesting thing too. I mean, and I'm assuming that, I don't want to get everyone too far away from the nuts and bolts and technical stuff, but the legal side of things, like how does the legal line up with the code? And is the technology something that gives you more of a palette of opportunities, kind of like a Creative Commons was invented for that purpose, right? Does it give you a bigger palette of opportunities that allow you to orchestrate rights arrangements and derivative arrangements that are more rich than you would with the physical object, or in conjunction with the physical object too? I'm wondering about this concept of digital twins as well.
Yeah. Well, so there's a whole world that's, as you suggest, that we can absolutely look into the future and see lots of different rights. The rights we give our users a claim in the digital asset, which is more a legal claim. And they have rights in the digital asset. And that's more than most all other NFTs that are being published today. So we're really proud of that. In the future, there's a lot more rights and derivative works that could, at the option of the licensor, Panini's the licensee, that could emerge and be attached to these digital assets. And that would be something that's possible in the future if the licensors want to do that. And I'm expecting at some point the market's going to emerge for those types of arrangements.
And some more standards probably too.
Yeah, I think there's lots of standards. It's one of the things that's really missing in the industry, and you can see it based on the actual technical implementations. If you go to a major licensor and you're trying to articulate why your NFT is better and offers stronger claims on collectability, there's not a third party to evaluate that. So I use the example, if you're Disney company and Disney's licensing out little princess umbrellas, Disney's not an expert in umbrellas, but they do know that in the contract they can have a UL listing, right? And they can have that umbrella certified as being safe and workable for their brand and for the demographic it's targeted at. And so there's different certifying bodies I expect to emerge.
Meeting the Department of Commerce requirements and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's all coming. Yep.
So
Yeah, which is great.
Roshan, got a couple more questions here from Mohammed, actually. First one is, are the Sawtooth smart contracts implemented in Golang or Solidity or perhaps another language?
Yeah, it's another language. We're using, currently not using any of those. So we're using the Hyperledger Sawtooth JavaScript framework right now, for that part.
The second question
I
also.
think there is,
sorry, go on.
I think there was one question that we missed just before that. From
Well, exactly. Sorry. Yes, I gave you two at once. Was the one before that?
Yeah, there was one to Brendan as well about the legal description to what a fan actually owns.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was grabbing the two questions from Mohammed. Yeah, no, please address Brendan's, and we'll come back to Mohammed.
Yeah, Koopa, do you want to take that one? It's
okay. So the what we've done in our terms of service is we have created a user has an ownership claim on the NFT, and they're granted non-commercial rights, and they don't have copyright, but they have non-commercial rights in the digital asset, and everything that, and not just the image, but everything that makes up the collectible. So the description, the long description, the short description, all of that is hashed and on the blockchain, and we can make a strong legal claim because of the way that's been engineered, and that's in our terms of service. And I think it's one of the strongest ones in the industry, and we're dedicated to making that even stronger in the future. But frankly, the only thing that's really left is custody.
It's almost like an asset and a bill of materials that you're turning into a hash that has documented authority. And
that's right.
And then Mohammed's second question was, are the digital assets, in other words, the images, stored on your cloud database rather than IPFS to provide a more robust ownership guarantee to buyers?
Right. So Mohammed, I hope I answered your first question. So that one's on a Hyperledger framework on the Sawtooth the JavaScript framework on Hyperledger. And to answer your second question, we are not using the IPFS framework. We're currently on our secure cloud network where we're storing the images there. So that part becomes a little tricky for the users, right? So the images are the ownership that the user has in terms of the product itself. So the manipulation of those images is something that we don't allow. So that's something that's stored on our secured cloud, so that we don't allow manipulation of those images in any way. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was exactly my point. IPFS is out in the public, so anybody can claim that they own the asset and they can create a duplicate token or anything like this. So yeah, thank you for addressing this question. And I'm really intrigued by the use of Sawtooth by you guys.
Right, and maybe Brendan can add to this as well in terms of I think Brendan was talking about how there's a limited amount of cards that are minted, or the limited amount of copies that are there in circulation, right? So I think where Panini is done or doing an excellent job in terms of preserving that rarity or the ownership for users comes in that portion where there are a limited amount of assets that are printed. There's no duplication of these assets. Each one of these are unique individual assets. So in terms of ownership, there is once the owner comes out, there's no duplicate copy of that's ever produced. So kind of like what Brendan was talking about, the checklist and the amount of cards that can be minted within a specific collection.
Yeah, every card is unique. We're not wrapping it and putting a number next to it and saying, okay, this is the first one, and having another wrapper for the next one that's the second one. Each digital asset is a unique asset, and if it's run through a hashing function, is going to give you a different hash value. And again, that's by design, and that's to make each individual digital collectible the strongest NFT that we can make, and the most collectible assets we can make.
Yeah, I think these are some really key differentiators. So yeah, thanks for elaborating on those.
Sure.
Brett's got a really vital archival question, which is, will Panini offer to rework their legacy trading cards for their clients who are adapting to NFT? So are you going to work your way through your back catalog?
Well, I'll tell you what, I think the NFT technology, so maybe not as it's deployed today, there's still some things to really complete and make the NFT collectible as strong as it can be. But there are companies with many billions of dollars in back catalog assets that can be monetized in the future.
I mean, why can't I just mail you my cards and have you create NFTs from them and you hold on to them in escrow?
Okay, so now you're taking me down a path where we're talking about what is
something
possible.
You probably can't talk about.
Well, I can say, well, I mean, there's a lot in the public domain, and I'm happy to share that, Nathan. And what's understood in the public domain is if you take a physical collectible and you have strong authentication on it, you can separate ownership using an NFT and then have custody. Okay, so Panini or a third party could custody the asset and have it in their vaults that are super secure. So I don't have to insure, or I have uninsurable assets worth millions of dollars.
Or your insurance is lower anyways. Yeah.
Right. That's right. And so in this case, and then the NFT can trade on an aftermarket. And of course, it represents a call option on the physical thing anytime that you want to take custody of it. And that's a pretty exciting thing. All the DeFi rails that enable that same asset to either have fractional ownership or be grouped together so that it's part of an investment portfolio, and then you buy shares into that. All that's possible on DeFi.
But ultimately, all those assets are part of a supply chain that you're pulling together into an asset in a manufacturing process, not unlike you are with a physical thing. And that's why this sort of model of that matching up with a digital twin and that concept from engineering really works well. And it's interesting, David, because there's an opportunity to have effects in the film industry where you can allow contributors and assets and clearance to happen in this method and reduce E&O insurance and time to get movies into distribution by orders of magnitude. Yeah. And it's something that I've been working on for about 2 years.
Okay.
Talked to AFI about as well. And you can imagine what kind of an effect that would have in the industry in terms of velocity and content, and also the derivative and the being able to monetize your catalog more easily, right? Everybody's got a DRM who's got a big catalog, and you put a factory on the front of it, and now you've got basically a stamp to mint out new content, right? I mean, that's what this boils down to.
Yeah.
Daniela has a question. Who is currently running the nodes, and long-term, who should be or will be?
Yeah. Roshan, you want to you take the first part and I'll take the second part.
All right. So yeah, I mean, it's a private blockchain. So the nodes are currently owned and run by Panini itself. And in terms of a longer term picture, maybe Coop, I'll let you answer that.
Yeah. So one of the reasons to select Sawtooth was that it looked like a really strong choice for a federated private blockchain and to operate a consortium. One of the values of decentralized public blockchain, one of the notional values anyway, I should say, is that it confers the user, insulates them from going concern risk, so that if the parties that are actually minting and creating assets and issuing things on that blockchain, if that entity goes away, then the asset that's on the public blockchain can survive that, and you've insulated from the going concern risk. However, if you look at the right now at this point in the development of the technology and the development of the industry, if you had to bet on a 60-year-old global company, Panini, to deliver your collectible, or a startup, I think Panini's probably the better bet. But again, it doesn't insulate you. What we're doing doesn't insulate you from that. But at the moment you invite other licensees or global licensors into the network, you created something where now you have to have really, really surprising, world-changing economic impact to actually infringe upon whatever you might own on a blockchain that's on a consortium. So maybe Panini wants to embrace that and develop that consortium. Maybe they don't. Either way, we're in a position where we can pivot and do that if it looks like that's more valuable than our other choices. But again, I'm looking at the pace of change on the public networks, and I'm optimistic that we're in the early days. It's going to be where it
It's
needs
not
to
an
be.
either or. I don't think it's
No.
either.
It's not either. Yeah, that was my point. It's the second part of my question, right?
Yeah.
It's not an either or.
Yeah.
And I think your answer, Brandon, was right on. And by the way, I'm on Hyperledger staff, so your answer was right on, is that you've chosen a technology that allows you to start at one point, and if needed, or if the market demands, or essentially if your customers, right, and your network demands, that you can expand that way as well. So that's great to hear.
Yeah.
I think I can take the next question from
Okay.
on the gas cost. So one of the reasons why we chose the private network, also bouncing off your earlier question, was that the entry barrier, we wanted to keep that low. So in this case, there is no minting cost or gas cost involved here. It's more just the compute cost in terms of what we incur. So none of that is passed on to the user. So it's what you pay for the asset is what you get. So yeah, in terms of that aspect, there is no minting cost involved here, more so because it's a private network and we're using trading in just dollars at this point.
Yeah.
Dave's got a question from YouTube. I'm just reading them out because a lot of people are obviously
Okay.
on the audio alone. So
Sure.
here's a question from YouTube. Do you charge a fee for the sales of any assets? Could you please elaborate on that?
Sure. We have in our terms of service a schedule of transaction fees for any aftermarket transactions that are happening on our platform, and it's tiered, and it runs from a few percent down to 1%, and it's basically set up so that we can recover costs for standing up the infrastructure and creating the environment for the aftermarket to operate. And one of the things that's certainly exciting about this technology is Panini can create these experiences, and the consumer gets to operate on the platform and conduct and do the kinds of things that they're used to doing out in the wild and Web 2.0 infrastructure, like eBay, for example. And there's no packaging. They don't have to authenticate. They don't have to take photos and upload them and post them. It's a very seamless experience. And these transaction fees help us stand up that infrastructure. And the rationale behind it is to keep it as low as possible so that there's a vibrant and active aftermarket. And also we want those fees to be low because the interesting thing about the trading card, in January of this year, Bank of America put trading cards into the luxury good category for their analysis purposes. And I think that was long overdue. The modern trading card trades anywhere from a dollar to $10,000 per pack. And on the high end, there are jewels and autographs and game used memorabilia and and precious metals that are going into the products. And so a lot of people don't know that about the category. But on the lower end, this is where people embrace and we've got a really broad population that are interested in trading at values below $10. And we want to make that interesting and affordable and exciting for them as well.
From Kyle, any plans to work with a company like infiniteobjects.com, which is a video printing service? So you have short looping videos within a physical frame, for example.
Well, so our products, we specialize in officially licensed products, and video typically falls into a different licensing category. And there's different ways for the licensors to partition that. I think the short answer is no, because that's not really what we're doing as a collectible company. We do have lots of fantastic video where we spend lots of time with the athletes throughout their career, and each year throughout the season as they play, they're autographing our cards. And it's part of that. So we're really engaged with the athletes. They know who we are, and we get to interact with them a lot. And so we've got a lot of video there. Those possibilities exist, but videos, for example, I think the NFL just signed a $200 billion agreement for their video rights. They take those pretty seriously. They really help pay the freight for the big licensors. And so video, maybe not, but we could. I mean, we certainly.
The physical item question, though, I think is important. Like he was talking about putting or she was talking about putting video in a physical item. What about?
Oh, thank you, Nathan. I think I'm sure I missed that. Thanks for the clarification. We've actually built cards that had many screens and devices that could actually present video, and we've done that before.
Like augmented side of sort of.
No, it was really just a standalone card that had a pretty thick aspect, and it was interesting. People collected them, but we didn't. The community, the trading card community, didn't really feel like they were part of what they were doing. And again, that was, I think we experimented with that.
Would you ever offer like a hockey stick or a puck or a ball or some artifact along with a set of cards, or a card with a
Sure. So So on the Panini site, there's lots of different memorabilia that we sell. We have officially autographed. Our Panini Authentic division specializes in basketballs and jerseys, shoes, and helmets. Lots of different memorabilia that's signed by the athletes. And so, I mean, the bundling and unbundling of those is super exciting using this technology.
So we've got 60 seconds left, and a very straightforward question from Brett asking whether you two guys will be presenting at the Hyperledger Global Forum.
It sounds like a great idea. We haven't been invited yet, but I stand ready to go wherever that is and do it.
Where is it this year?
Virtual. It's going to be in June, virtual, unfortunately.
Okay.
We'll save the big bang but yes, it's a virtual conference. It'll happen in June. The call for proposals actually closed on Friday, but we're happy to talk to some folks as we fill in some of the gaps. So
sure. Well, if you see there's a position, you let Roshan and I know. Roshan, can I count you in? Can I go ahead and vote you in?
Volunteer.
Yeah, we'll be and one of the, I know, we want to wrap up, we want to be respectful of everyone's time, is, as you can imagine, we're getting a lot of inquiries, at Hyperledger from a staff perspective from companies. So we'd love to, like Brandon and Roshan, if someone came to you from, an industry, in the media industry, for example, or collectibles industry, where would you tell them to start? Where do you start this journey?
I think you could reach out to either one of us on LinkedIn. That would be my preference, and I would encourage everyone here to do that. Roshan?
Right, yeah, I think so too. Yeah, that'll be a good starting point, and happy to fill in any questions from there.
Yeah. I'm on all the social media platforms, so you can find me out there at Brendan T. Cooper. Mm-hmm. And I'm on everything, so find me there.
Okay, great.
Cool.
Well, I go to hundreds of meetups a year, and this is the only one that my daughter was like, I want to come. So great. She left about 20 minutes ago. I've heard enough. You guys now start talking Hyperledger, so thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much to you both, and thanks to everyone who's here, because obviously we need both speakers and we need an audience. So for those of you further east from here, I apologize for keeping you up, but Roshan and Brendan, thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Amazing.
Roshan.
Awesome.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.